This way forever. I'm Byron the Jackson.
Welcome to our viewers from around the globe. You join us just as today's practice session for the Australian Grand Prix is about to start. Now then, Anthony Davidson, there's been a lot of talk over the last few weeks about track limits. How much is too much when you're cutting corners and running wide? What are your thoughts on this? And do you think we'll be seeing drivers pushing those limits this weekend?
Well, I'd be disappointed if we didn't, frankly. If race control want to clamp down on drivers wandering off the track, then it's up to them to police it. As a driver, you're being paid to get your car around the circuit as quickly as possible, don't forget. So if you're not pushing those limits, if you're ignoring the advantageous line, then you're not doing your job properly. Now, I agree that, we have these white lines there for a reason, and we do want to see those limits enforced, but for me, it's not a driver's responsibility to do that.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to Season 2 of the F1 2016 Career Mode. I'm sorry that I'm still in the Red Bull. I did say I was going to be with the McLaren team. However, I didn't realise that you still would stay with your team if you don't have a new contract. So unfortunately, we're going to have to wait for a new contract, and hopefully it's a McLaren Honda contract. But at this stage, we'll be staying in the Red Bull. Now, what you're seeing on screen was practice, and this is still practice. I'm doing the qualifying lap time now, and this is where things started to get a bit tricky. And as you know, that on this game in practice there is just no grip, so you start to take things very fast, very dangerously into corners, and then this sort of thing happens. You just go out wide onto the grass, do a Max Verstappen, and then you hit the wall. Except Max Verstappen managed to save it, and for us that was not possible. So you're going to see the third person perspective. We do hit the corner perfect, or a bit of a corner cut, and again a bit of a corner cut, but then we just hit on the grass and it was over, and that's our practice completed. So that did put us about 10th.
Welcome to
so
Melbourne,
now we're going to go into
qualifying
qualifying
for the Australian Grand Prix should be getting underway shortly. It always looked like the kind of track that asks an awful lot of the rear tyres, such as the frequency of low-speed exits.
Lots of low-speed exits means the rears are in for a lot of punishment. It's all too easy to spin them up coming out of a corner too aggressively. It might look great for us as spectators, as we love to see a car driven beyond its limits, but it's not going to result in a great long-run pace.
So here we are for qualifying. Now with qualifying this season, we are doing 3 qualifying sessions like the actual F1, compared to the short 15 minutes we did in Season 1. I feel like 3 qualifying sessions would be a bit better in terms of playing the game and in terms of watching what happens. And so this is our first run, and we do not get exactly the best apex possible, but we do come across the line to hit a 128. Not exactly fast, but Hamilton's in the 126s, so we need to actually do something about that. Locking up into the first corner wasn't exactly ideal. Coming around for our second flying lap in Q1. We're going to cross the line. We're 8 tenths up on our delta, and we come across with a 127, still 1.5 seconds away from Hamilton. Button apparently faster than us. Here we are for our final run in Q1, I believe it is, and we're going to come across the line with 3 tenths up on our delta with a 127 point something. I didn't quite get to see, but we do finish 10th in Q1, and we are going to get straight into Q2 now. So that was a 127.5. Here we are now with Q2, so we're going to do our flying lap. Rosberg is apparently in the lead so far with a 127.2. We did get a little bit wheel spinning on that corner, coming through the final corner perfect, and then across the line we're going to find out what we can do. It looks like it's going to be a 128 just like before, 128.8. So we're well off the pace. We're 1 second up now according to the delta. Going to come across not exactly the best exit from the final corner. We're still 1 second up, so what's that going to give us? It's going to give us a 127. That puts us in P5, and I thought we were safe, but unfortunately we did manage to get shot down to P11, which pushes us out of qualifying 3.
The atmosphere is heavy with expectation and anticipation, and bearing the weight of that burden today is a place we know very well indeed. It's Albert Park. The story of the season begins here then with the Australian Grand Prix, and it's time for the first chapter to be written. We go racing today then in the state of Victoria, where the drivers have 16 corners and 3.3 miles to navigate at an average lap speed of around 120 miles an hour. The close proximity of the barriers makes accidents inevitable, and recent history shows us that a safety car is not at all out of the question. So as we look ahead to what I hope will be a very entertaining race, I have to ask Anthony Davidson what you expect to see in terms of strategy today. I mean, do you expect a lot of tyre management? A lot of fuel management?
Well, don't we always? I don't expect these are going to be any more important than usual, if I'm honest. What I do expect, however, are a lot of drivers getting into the pits early for some kind of undercut on fresh rubber. If you can pit before the person in front, have a good stop and drive a blistering outlap, there may be 1 or 2 seconds to be gained. If anyone gets stuck behind another car, for example, that will be the go-to strategy, surely.
Okay, I know it's your home Grand Prix, but treat it like any other race. Don't take unnecessary risks.
Thank you, my engineer, for telling me to not take any risks on my home Grand Prix. So we're going to, as always, put the fuel load about 2 kilos heavier. I do like to run with a higher fuel load just to make sure that I have extra fuel to burn off at the end of the race. And now we are here for our formation lap. We're going to skip the formation lap. In this race, we are starting 10th because Felipe Massa had a 5-second penalty, and I assume in qualifying 3 he didn't exactly get the best position, so he may have finished 5th or above, and that caused us to get an extra position. So starting P10, we're starting on the softs as well. Everyone else seems to be on the super softs, but here we go for the lights. On 5 lights, lights out, and away we go for the Australian Grand Prix. We get a good start on both Magnussen and Perez. However, Perez pulls away, then Magnussen pulls away, then we have a car, Massa, going down our inside, and we do make contact with Magnussen and Massa. Magnussen did push us back into the corner, so then we had to take out Massa, unfortunately, but that is not going to be huge because there was no penalties or anything. We almost went up the rear of Perez. Perez almost going up the rear of Alonso, and Bottas is in 6th place. So yeah, Massa didn't get the best of starts, essentially. He did go quite good start, but he didn't get the best corner, diving up the inside, just like the banana car, the Renault of Palmer and Kevin Magnussen, I think it was, in the Haas on the Russian Grand Prix. But as you saw, just going up everyone into the corners, Alonso was taking his time into that corner, so we are up into 7th place on the first lap. And we have Bottas ahead of us. He's less than a second ahead of us. We got Alonso. Now Magnussen behind us. Alonso has been overtaken. And that is going to be lap 1 with this position still staying. We see 2 Ferraris ahead of us. Green flags. So something happened in Sector 3. I can see on the map, Felipe Massa is out of the race. And that's the safety car being called out. So we're going to quickly check what exactly happened. And this is on board of the Toro Rosso, and look at that carnage. I'm sorry that the quality is not that great. I'm not sure what my Elgato is doing, but as you saw, a Force India and 2 Saubers just like that collided, and it was unfortunate that that happened, and that is Felipe Massa out of the race. So yeah, not much could have been saved. They did sort of block the whole track, but one of the cars, I believe it was the Toro Rosso of Carlos Sainz or Daniel Kvyat, actually made it through the carnage. So good work for them. However, now we're on lap 4 with the safety car coming in this lap. Hamilton is keeping us very, very tight around the few final corners of this circuit. So as you can see, it goes Hamilton, Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Bottas, and then us. And I don't know where the other Ferrari and where the Mercedes of Rosberg are, but here we go for the start of the race, and there we go, green flags. We're going to go back to racing now. Bottas getting a good exit. We sort of did a bit of wheel spin. We didn't manage the tires temperatures well enough, and so we were not able to get the best of restarts. And as you see, Hamilton pulling away, Ricciardo pulling away, and Raikkonen just doing nothing. Our teammate is into the pit on lap 6, and that is going to push us up into P2. Hamilton stays out. I'm not sure why. I guess Mercedes decided to get Rosberg in. Maybe Rosberg was having issues with the tyres since he wasn't exactly able to be up in the top 10, I think it was. But here we go, lap 8 now. We do have Rosberg right behind us. He is on the medium compound tyres. He's going down the inside now, and we do make slight contact with him, and it wasn't our fault. As you're going to see in this replay, green flag's out again, and look at this replay. I'm not sure if I could have done anything. I did take my normal racing line, and then Rosberg just clips us, and then the Sebastian Vettel of the Ferrari goes right into the rear, or right into the side pod of Rosberg. But here we are on lap 9, finally going into our pit stop time. And yeah, Ferrari are out as well, so Sebastian Vettel is coming into the pits as well, and it's just us two in the pits, unfortunately. So I guess Vettel did stay on the... Oh, Vettel's... Ricciardo on the softs, Raikkonen on softs, and we're on super softs. Vettel did start on the softs with us, so that is going to be that. And a lot of the cars are on different compounds. Softs, super softs, and mediums are the 3 compounds everyone seems to be on. But here we go. Alonso down the inside. Now we have, I think that was Bottas. Yes, it's Bottas down the inside, but we're going to get him on the exit. But now, because of our cold tyres, Bottas is going to get it. And he might have a go, and he is. And we are going to turn in, but we do have Bottas making contact. He pretty much turned in way too early. And I'm sorry about the sound, I forgot to turn sound off, but here we are for the third person perspective. Coming out of the pits now, as you can see the train of cars, we got Button, we have Magnussen, and then we have Alonso, and there's Bottas very, very close on the exit, and we are going to get Bottas around the outside, and then Bottas in the slipstream going back around the outside into the corner. And from this perspective, you can see clearly Bottas just turned into me. So lap 11 now, and I found a train of slow cars. Alonso is held up, Gutierrez held up, Ericsson, and they're all held up behind Jenson Button. I think Jenson Button had a few power issues at this stage of the race, because I think my engineer said something about Button having a few engine issues or loss of power. So we do make 3 cars up into one corner, and now we have Jenson Button ahead of us for P9. We are in the points. We are going to score 1 point at this stage if we keep P10. On lap 12 now, Jenson Button is still ahead of us. We are catching him. Look at this. We are catching him with DRS. But then in the corners, I don't know what it is, but the McLaren just slows down a lot, and then he doesn't have the best power or most power to get it on the exit. But here we are catching up to Jenson Button into the next corner, and coming up to the end of sector 1 very shortly. We're right behind Button. We're going to look down the inside into probably the end of sector 1 corner. We're looking down the inside, but we decide not to do it because it's going to be too risky on lap 12. We are 4 tenths up. We are purple in sector 1, and here we are going to have a go in the corner. We're going to go around the side, but then we go down the inside. There we go, wheel to wheel, and we get the curb. Perfect exit and perfect overtake for P9. Here we are, lap 14 now. I found a lot of other cars. Rosberg as well. Look at this. Rosberg made a comeback to get P8. Raikkonen and everyone else ahead of him. And this is essentially for first place, unless that is the first place car well ahead. But I go down the inside of Rosberg, and I get the job done. And now we have Raikkonen. And this is going to be the final lap. This is the lap to do the overtakes. We do go a bit sideways on the exit. Almost actually ended up in the wall. It could have been very, very bad performance for us to do that on the final lap, but now we are on the final lap with Raikkonen right ahead. I believe that is another Ferrari ahead of Raikkonen. I do not quite see, but Rosberg is catching us. He's going to have a look, but then he backs out. Ricciardo's in 6th, Hamilton in 5th. Now this is very, very strange. We don't have a Mercedes in the top 3 at the moment, and we don't have a Ferrari in the top 3. So that is very awesome to see and very strange to see at the same time, but we are sort of catching up to Raikkonen very, very slowly. Rosberg is all over us though. Look at this. Rosberg is just keeping up with us. We did burn off our super softs quite fast, so Rosberg's medium tires are going to have better tire wear simply because they're a harder compound. We do have 3 laps left of fuel, and Rosberg down the inside. We're going to go 3 wide into the corner. Rosberg unfortunately does not make it, and he takes out another car, and that is Gutierrez going to be out of the race. But that's P6. We did get ahead of Raikkonen. We are going down the inside of on Perez, Hamilton in P4, Palmer P3, and our race winner is Felipe Massa. There we go. Esteban Gutierrez is out of the race with his incident on, I believe that was Rosberg and Raikkonen. But there we go, across the line to secure, I believe, 5th place. Now, an interesting thing to notice is Mercedes were not top 3, Ferrari were not top 3, Red Bull were not top 3. So what you're going to notice is Felipe Massa is our race winner, a Force India is in the points, and I believe that is a Renault of Julian Palmer possibly, or Kevin Magnussen. So that's going to be our top 3. Very, very interesting race. I did not expect that at all. The cars are not even on equal performance. This is pure performance, and you saw a glitch in the back. But there we go. Julian Palmer in P3. P2 is Nico Hülkenberg, and P1 is Felipe Massa. So I hope you guys did enjoy this Australian Grand Prix. It was very interesting to play and to race in. I hope the next race is sort of like this, where Mercedes just don't be dominant, and then this happens. If we have a podium like this, that would be amazing, but it might go back to normal. But there we are, P5 on the race results. Felipe Massa wins the race, and that's going to be the points, the top 10 there, or pretty much this right here is what we're looking at. Lewis Hamilton is just ahead of us in the driver standing, but Julian Palmer and everyone else is well ahead. And Sebastian Vettel down in 15th, Nico Rosberg down in 17th, Dan Ricciardo down in 19th. They DNF for Ricciardo on the final lap, so Ricciardo must have been in the incident with Nico Rosberg, so that was interesting. And there we go for the race results, and now the driver standings. We are 2 points behind Lewis Hamilton. Constructors, we are 5th, and I hope you guys did enjoy this, and I'll see you guys next time for probably F1 2010.
Who was your driver of the day?
Well, after a drive like that, it's got to be Nico Hülkenberg, hasn't it? Very clean, very smooth. He can be really pleased with that.